Welcome Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to our red carpet luncheon. I would like to invite Rabbi Eric Slayton to do the pledge and prayer.
Thank you. For the blessings which you grant to us in abundance in forest and sea, in mountain and meadow, in rain and sun, we thank you. For the blessings you plant inside us, joy and peace, meditation and laughter, we are grateful. For the blessings of friendship and love, family and community, for the blessings we ask of you and those we cannot ask, for the blessings of a world filled with diversity of life, for a humanity that is rich in its differences in culture, heritage, race, and religion, for our appreciation that all people are endowed with inherent dignity and worth, for placing within us the desire to create a just and unbiased society, for the blessings you bestow upon us openly and in secret, for the blessings we recognize, and for those we fail to recognize, for all these blessings which surround us on every side, may our thanks never cease finding expression on our lips. Amen. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Next, I would like to invite up here President and CEO of the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, Dan Bates.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, everyone. It's really exciting to be here today. You know, we do red carpet lunches on different topics. This is the first one that we are deserving to this topic today. So I think you're in for some great information. And I'll frame this a little bit for you, and then I want to recognize our sponsors. There was a conversation that Gene Pope from the city and Shamana Curtis from Miami and I had. This was really their brainchild that they brought to me. And in the future, this will be a recognition of people or organizations who are making the greatest impact in diversity and inclusion in our area. For this first year, we decided to take a step back and say, what is diversity? What does it look like? What does it mean? What is inclusion? What are all these terms that are being thrown around as buzzwords, and why should they be important to you? And what does the face of diversity really look like? So that's why I'm really excited to be addressing this topic today and being able to kick this off as an ongoing annual recognition of inclusion and diversity. With that being said, I want to welcome you all here today. Hopefully you enjoy your lunch. And I want to thank some of our sponsors, our sustaining sponsors, Auto Express of Hamilton, Barclays, Business Breakthrough Advisors, Butler Tech, the City of Hamilton, First Financial Bank, Kettering Health Hamilton, Mercy Health Fairfield Hospital, and U.S. Bank. I also want to thank our event sponsor, LCN National Bank. And of course, I also want to thank TV Hamilton, who is a great partner with us, always covers these events, and they will be live streaming this today as well, and it'll be viewable on TV Hamilton at a later time. So once again, I want to thank you all for being here. I'm going to bring Gene Pope, HR Director from the City of Hamilton, who I refer to as Hamilton's unofficial queen, to the podium, and she's going to be introducing the panel and moderating the discussion today. So thank you very much, Jean.
Well, if I take on the title of the Queen, then I will rightfully bestow upon Dan Bates as the King of Hamilton. So we will rule together in harmony, if you will. I'd like for everybody to open their minds and have a welcoming spirit to yet another term that we need to be accustomed to, and it's called JEDI, which is Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. We have diversity, which is of experiences, and inclusion, meaning we want everybody to participate, but we want everyone also to be on an equal playing field. So whatever we need to do to get communities there, or persons there to that spot of equity, we need to do that. And then justice means taking a look at any of the systems that, are initially unfair or inequitable, maybe not intentionally, but have become so over the years, and then making them justifiably good or beneficial for all. So please be welcoming to that term, because you're going to hear it a lot. And I will say, for the city of Hamilton's perspective, we are thoroughly invested, and thank you so much to Dan Bates and the Chamber of Commerce for being our staunch partner and supporter. We appreciate you. Now to our amazing panel. We have a host of amazing professionals. Individually, they've had their own successes and awards, but they're going to bring to you a diverse, no pun intended, swath of information to you, so please reach out so that we can all learn together. First, I'd like to introduce Miss Melanie Bryant. She is the BWC Minority and Small Business Advocate. She receives feedback from the minority and small employer community, which are just as important as employer education. Melanie and the BWC are committed to assist the vast group of employers to grow and strive in Ohio's economy. Thank you, Melanie, for being here. Next, we have Mr. Sammy Broyles. I always introduce him as like the CEO of the Y, but he's always around, and he has his fingers, and his whole spirit in the youth of our community, and so grateful to partner with him on so many things. But Sammy Broyles is the Great Miami Valley YMCA Branch Director, Executive Director. The State of Reality series, which he'll be talking to you about today, was in response to the murder of George Floyd. There was the community that came together. I'll let you explain how they got there, but instead of just marching, we wanted to create active answers to the solutions that we're facing, and Sammy will have some time to discuss that in just a moment. We have Mr. Mike Carr from Damascus. Mr. Carr is going into places where folks don't normally tread, which would be the prisons. And Damascus is a nonprofit prison reentry and staffing organization headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio. They've worked with the incarcerated since 2002, and their mission is to be the standard bearer in unconventional and sustainable solutions in incarceration, reentry, and the workforce to elevate individuals, communities, corporations, and the country. Thank you for being here, sir. On your program, you'll see Brittany Chapman. She is actually the CHIPS coordinator. She was ill today and couldn't be with us. We have an amazing participant in our CHIPS program and a wonderful and invaluable addition to my life personally, which is Miss Kristen Mallory. And she will be giving you information about the CHIPS program, which endeavors to equalize opportunities for young persons of color. So thank you, Mallory, for being here. Appreciate you. Miss Lisa Giuliano. She is the Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities and Superintendent. Founded in the 1950s after Ohio parents demanded that their children with developmental disabilities should have the same education opportunities as their counterparts. The Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities provides support throughout a person's lifetime so they can successfully live, work, and learn in the community. That's so important for folks to have independence of thought. So thank you, Lisa, for being here and being open to teaching us today. Miss Charla Hale, ex-U Xavier alum. That's right, yeah. I just love Xavier. Best school ever. So Charla is our Director of Racial Justice at the YWCA. She's made an amazing and tremendous impact on our community, only being here, I don't even think a year yet. No, so we are looking forward to learning what JEDI actually means and some of the programs that she has put together today. So, again, open your hearts and minds. Thank you, Charla, for being here. Appreciate you. Pastor Shaquilla Matthews. Pastor Shaq. Pastor Shaq is the community gatherer. Yes, she's a pastor, but, she is also the Pied Piper of young people. She has been endeavoring to uplift our young persons and give them opportunities since she's been here. It was 7 years now? 7 years. 7 years. Came back home like a tornado. Love her. So she'll be telling us all about the HYPE program and hopefully about some of the endeavors that you're working with Spooky Nook and the job fair that's coming up, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Okay. Plug. Taylor Stonewelch. He is the board chair for Hamilton, Ohio Pride. Thank you so much, Taylor. The organization celebrates diversity, love, and fellowship within our community and promotes unity, inclusion, and awareness of sexual and gender diversity. We appreciate the brave stance and moving us forward in creating a safe place for everyone. Thank you so much, Taylor. Appreciate you. And last but certainly not least, Boyce Swift. He is the co-founder and COO of the Fellowship Mentoring Program. He's also the Human Resources Director over at the YMCA. Boyce has a background in communications and economics and currently serves as the HR professional. As the Fellowship Mentoring Program COO, he helps young men reach their full potential through offering one-on-one group and professional mentoring. And if any of us work with children, young people, we know that it's challenging. We have to figure out how to speak their language. We have to figure out how to use electronics, But being able to reach the individual and having a passion for changing lives is not something to blink your eyes at. We appreciate your voice. Thank you so much. All righty, Roo. So now we'd like to go one by one through our individual panel members. We'll give them a moment to speak on their organization and their raison d'etre. That's a little French for you, meaning why you're here. We'll start with Miss Melanie Bryant. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
A little louder.
Let me move closer. How about that? So I wondered why they had me first, and now I realize after hearing all these great people, it's like, well, you have to have the build-up of the greatness that goes down the road. So they started me first. My name is Melanie Bryan. I am the Minority and Small Business Advocate with the Bureau of Workers' Comp. I cover the entire state, and I've been with the agency about 8 years. When I started in my role, one of the main things that we wanted to accomplish as an agency is to start focusing on diversity. So not all of our customers are the city of Hamilton or Hamilton City Schools. We have small employers, minority employers who really do need our focus. They need our energy. And in my role, my job is to do these types of educations for employers. Typically, you'll see me talk about what we do as an agency, who needs to be in compliance, who must have workers' compensation coverage, discussion about the difference between an independent contractor or an employee, because they all get a little confused about that, sometimes purposely, and then talking about some of our programs and grants. And so it's always my pleasure to come out and talk to as many people as possible about what we do as an agency and what my role specifically is. I want all of you to know that I am a resource that is available to all of your customers who have workers' compensation coverage. They can email me, and I'll have all my information available as well, my business cards. Email me, call me. I always want them to know that they don't have to pop out to a 1-800 number and then get bounced around to different departments. Although I haven't been at the Bureau for only 8 years. I've been in workers' compensation, and I hate saying this because it ages me, for 30 years. And so typically I can answer any workers' compensation question that an employer has. So feel free to use me as a resource, and feel free to encourage them to contact me directly. And then I just want to go through really quickly. Recently, and Dan was with me on this committee, the chamber was highly involved. We were involved with a project with the Minority Business Assistance Center in Cincinnati and the Cincinnati African American Chamber. And the event was called We Mean Business. The purpose of this event was to ensure that we provided services for minority businesses, resources, letting them know what they don't know, what's available to them, who is out there to provide resources for them as a business organization. And we partnered with ODOT, with SCORE, OSU, the City of Hamilton, of course the Chamber here, Cincinnati, the City of Cincinnati, and Hamilton County. This was a 3-day event, and it was heavily attended. We marketed to hundreds of employers and businesses around this area, and we had approximately 368 register, and we had a great turnout, which any of you who have ever organized an event, you know, if you get about 30–40% attendance, that is a success. We had over 61% of those, so over 224 attendees for that event, and that was the 4th annual event. So we're looking forward to doing this again next year and just increasing the knowledge base for all of our minority businesses about what is out there for them, because there are multiple state agencies, multiple chambers, other resources that are out there that they just do not take advantage of. And it is our job, and of course my job, to make sure they're aware of what we do to serve them. So thank you. I'll welcome any of your questions later on.
Mr. Sammy Broyles, and thank you so much, Melanie.
Can you hear me? All right. So I'm Sammy Broyles. I work with the Great Miami Valley YMCA, and particularly with this project, thank you. We are focused on the Booker T. Washington Community Center. Around the time of George Floyd's death, there was a lot of protests and marches happening around the country. Also, we had one here in the city of Hamilton. And our leadership at that time, our CEO, who's here, Mr. Woody Fitton, came to some of his leaders at the Y and asked us what would be an appropriate response other than just a catchphrase statement that many companies were making, but with no action really behind it. And he gave us free reign to work with our board, who unfortunately is not here, Shamna Curtis, who led and helped us develop what we call the State of Reality series. And through this series, it was a way for us to intentionally address issues that were facing Black Hamiltonians in our area and affect the change that we could here. So we broke it down with a focus around education, law enforcement, and economic development. And the way the series happened, we partnered with many of you who are in this room right here, right now, and also community members, bringing everybody together in one room to be able to have hard conversations that are often avoided. And we were able to look at the data for what it is by experts, one, Chief of Police. We also had education by City of Hamilton, and also economic development by the City of Hamilton City Schools, and then the City of Hamilton. And each of them brought data in for us to look at. And then we had small focus groups mixed with leaders and community members to come up with solutions to address the issues that we've seen in the data. Instead of pointing a finger and looking at each other like, well, this is your fault, this is your issue to fix, we said, how can we come together as a community and work side by side to address these issues? And through that, we had some great projects that took place. One of them I'm very proud of was the Grow Your Own initiative through education, when we seen that there was a huge disparity in minority teachers in the area. we started working and figuring out ways how we can collaborate with other organizations to be able to address these issues that we've seen facing our community, and figure out how can we start at a grassroots level to encourage our young minority students, and then have a commitment from the school district that if they do go down this charter path, that they will have a job in this city to be able to work and serve and play and live as we want many of our citizens to have. And that was one initiative that we were able to get going and get traction with, which I'm very excited about, and we're still working hard on those issues. We had the opportunity to work with Dan, who was at that time a board member for the Booker T. Washington Community Center, and his resources with the chambers and resources with many of our banks in this area, was able to pull together an event we call the Chambers and the 5 Banks at the Booker T. Washington Community Center. And through that event, I mean, a lot of people showed up because we're talking about, if you have a business plan, you want a loan, and we're focused on minority businesses because we've seen a huge disparity in economic development in the Black community in this city. We talked about how can we address that and bring the resources to a table where people will feel comfortable having a conversation, maybe not in a traditional bank setting or even in a chambers building, but in a place where they're used to coming to, that was our community center, and still is our community center, and be able to address those things. And some of the outcomes were amazing that came. We had a lot of people sign up, about 31 sign up for extra help, 17 follow through. And out at 17, right now, we have the opportunity to go to Central and visit Soulful, who actually has a food business that was able to get the resources they needed to be able to open up a minority business in the second ward in the community. So through these efforts of the State of Reality series, we're still working hard. We're still looking at the data and planning ahead to figure out what can we address. But we're making changes through action versus just statements. So if you have any questions later on, I will be happy to go and answer those. And I feel remiss without giving a lot of credit to Shamla Curtis for her leadership as a board chair for the Booker T. Washington Community Center, and also Ebony Brock, who's our center director, and all of the volunteers and all of you out here who helped make it happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Sammy. Next, we'll ask Mr. Mike Carr from Damascus to teach us about his program and his work.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mike Carr. I'm the Director of Sales and Operations for Damascus. We're located in Cincinnati and service the region, which includes Hamilton, Columbus, Chillicothe, Dayton, and Northern Kentucky. Damascus is a reentry and staffing organization. So what does that mean? Reentry means that we partner with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, and we deliver programming for men and women who are on their way out of incarceration, whether it's 1 year or 30 years. Our curriculum was designed by our co-founder, Kristen Mallory, who taught criminal justice at Xavier, was the Archdiocese Director of Prison Ministry for years, and then started Damascus with her husband, Todd. The curriculum is dynamic. We get into bias, we get into trauma, we get into bridges out of poverty, we get through love languages, we move into workplace culture, prison culture versus workplace culture, and really dig into why you got to incarceration, right? And then kind of rebuild and give a vision. You get to pick your life. And then once they get out of incarceration, we work with community partners like Talbert House, and locally we work very closely with Serenity Hall here in Hamilton, among other areas. And then we have a team of client representatives that engage the individuals. We have them pull out their life plans. Where are you in your journey? And then they decide if they're ready to go to work. Not everybody is ready to go to work for a 40 to 50-hour work week. So we really think about our employer partners in the marketplace. Many of us have a corporate background and understand what it means to meet a bottom line. And we want to bring individuals that have done the work on themselves, that have worked hard on a second chance and deserving of that second chance. And we've had tremendous success, not only with the individuals, right, and the lives change there, but with our community partners as well, who have to meet a bottom line and want to fold somebody into their culture and want to have success. So I want to give an example of an organization that we've now celebrated 5 years as an employer partner. right? And that's a long time for a staffing agency. And this particular employer partner was working with 9 staffing agencies, okay? 9 staffing agencies, and just the turnover was tremendous. They finally gave us an opportunity to do a pilot and bring in 5 workers. The supervisor said, I want more of those guys and girls in the blue shirts. That 5 turned into 10, turned into 15, turned into 20, and we now are one of 2 staffing agencies and probably cover 80% of their staffing needs as an organization. So as a company, you know, they went from 9 staffing agencies down to 2, and we've built a relationship and have lots of success folding men and women into the organization. And so that impact is on the corporate community partner, it's on the community, it's on individuals, on their families, and economic impact on the county, city, and state of Ohio. So my journey, I want to tie in a little bit to this. I'm a restored citizen. I did 2 years for drinking and driving. It was a horrible mistake. I worked hard on what brought me to prison, and when I got out, it was such an impact on my life. I wanted to find an organization that was having an impact on others, and I'm grateful to have been with Damascus for 3 years and carrying that mission forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Carr, for sharing your story as well. Next, we have Ms. Kristen Mallory. She's going to talk to us about the CHIPS program. Kristen?
Hello, everyone. You should all have a pamphlet on your table about the CHIPS program. Today, I'm going to talk to you about my personal experience with CHIPS. They were developed to give minority students an opportunity to get involved in the city. I had just graduated from Miami University. Go Miami. I was at the Hamilton campus, by the way, so homegrown. So I had just finished school, and Shamina Curtis was my professor in my sophomore year, and she reached out and told me about the CHIPS program. So she told me about it, and I said, let's give it a shot. I graduated with a nonprofits and community service degree, and she partnered me with Miss Wendy Waters-Cannell of the YWCA. Yes. Yes. What CHIPS does is it gave me an invaluable experience. If I would have just gone straight into the workforce, I'm not sure that I would have had the proximity that I did with Wendy, and to see how to run an organization, which is my future goal. And so I got that hands-on experience. Wendy also introduced me and took me around the city of Hamilton. I got acquainted with all the beautiful residents and the businesses. And not only did I get ingrained in the community, I also built a family. CHIPS has not just been an organization to help us get jobs, but they've become a family. Once you phase out of CHIPS, they're still there to help you if you need employment. Just to go out on events, we've explored the city, we've gone on different tours, we play games together, we're very competitive, as Jean knows. But it's just been a beautiful experience, and for me, I was one who wanted to get out of the state, but through the CHIPS experience, I've gained a love for the community of Hamilton, and I love what Hamilton is doing, and it's retaining talent to the city, and it's growing and building on the diversity within Hamilton. So CHIPS has been an invaluable experience for me, and if you all want to partner, please do. Jean and Shamina are great, and just like this event right here. So I'm just grateful to be here and to gain the experience that I've had through the CHIPS program, and I'm sure you all will benefit through the diversity as well. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kristen. And even though you went to Miami, you can still be our spokesperson. And now we'll have Ms. Giuliano, who will give us some information about what she does with the Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities traces its beginnings to a grassroots effort by parents who wanted an education for their sons and daughters with developmental disabilities. For about a century, through 1950, parents of children with developmental disabilities in Ohio had two choices. They could send their child to an institution to receive services, but they had to give up daily contact. Or they could raise their child at home doing whatever they thought was right. Frequently, the child was hidden from the public. Thanks to the advocacy efforts of parents who wanted better for their children, change was brought about. In 1952, parents in Butler County formed what would later become the Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities. With such a start, the board has always had a hand in advocating for people with developmental disabilities, and despite progress, there are many ways that advocacy is still needed to this day. In 1986, the Ohio legislature signed into law a Bill of Rights for people with developmental disabilities. The statute includes 24 rights to legally reinforce the freedom to choose and experience life. These are basic rights, such as the right to participate in decisions that affect their lives, the right to social interaction with members of either sex, the right to food adequate to meet accepted standards of nutrition, and the right to privacy, including periods of privacy and places of privacy, and these are just some examples of the 24 rights. It's always been difficult for me to accept that people with disabilities needed additional protection under the law to simply be treated equally as all citizens. Given that reality, our board's mission focuses on supporting people to live, work, and learn in their community. What that looks like is different for every person, depending on their goals and dreams for their future, just like you and me. Our role as advocates is an honorable one. It is vitally important given the history of people with disabilities living in institutions and being hidden from the community just for being different. Supporting people with disabilities to access opportunities to develop their full human potential, which is also language included in the Bill of Rights, incredibly increases our value as a society. Each person realizing their goals and dreams has an exponential effect on all of us. If you're trying to think of examples of what our mission looks like in the community, I'd encourage you to look at yourself, possibly your family members or even your friends. Haven't we all worked on a plan for our lives and access support from others along the way? Are there times when you or someone you know face challenges or even barriers because of being different or not fitting the typical profile? As you've walked your path in life, recall the times where your opportunities led you to reaching goals, getting closer to your full potential, contributing to your own self-worth, your family, and your community. Diversity doesn't look all that different for people with disabilities as they focus on living their best lives, not defined by us, but supported by us. We celebrate Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in March, and this year our theme is I'm not special, I'm equal. I'm challenging you to focus on the abilities, not the disabilities of people in our community, recognizing the unique ways all of us contribute to society. If you're wondering how you can assist us with our mission and advocacy efforts, we have a variety of ways that you can connect and volunteer with us or partner organizations like Best Buddies. We know that opportunities to socialize and build friendships can be a very significant challenge for the people that we support, so you might consider becoming involved with the Best Buddies Citizens Program, which actually pairs you with a buddy to build a friendship with a person with disabilities in the community. We look forward to continuing on our journey together and very appreciated being here today with all of you as we create and support a culture, or continue to create and support a culture, that acknowledges and celebrates our differences. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa, for clarity of purpose and painting the picture for us. Appreciate that. Next, we'll have Ms. Charla Hale from the YWCA.
Thanks, Jean.
You're welcome.
Lisa, I gotta follow that up. Okay. You can do it. I know, right? So, this is loud. I have a loud voice. This is a lot. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Charlotte Hale, Director of Racial Justice at the YWCA Hamilton. And so, first and foremost, I would be remiss if I did not say our mission. Our mission at the YWCA Hamilton is to eliminate racism and empowering women through promoting peace, justice, and dignity for all. And I think that is a very centering mission, and that's what really grounds all of the work we do. And I get to do that first part, the eliminating racism piece. That is the goal of my position, is how do I move through this community and help support that work. And so we have established, first and foremost, I guess I have to shout out why I'm here, how I'm here. Thanks to a very generous donation from the Mackenzie Scott Foundation, my position now exists in the city of Hamilton and exists at the YWCA Hamilton. And so it is an honor and a privilege to be able to steward that funding well and to impact our community in that way. So first and foremost, thank you to that, and speaking to how great of an impact this is gonna have on our community. So how do you do the work of eliminating racism? I think it's great to listen to what happened at Booker T. Washington Community Center, because I think it mirrors all the goals I have for our racial justice program at the YWCA. And that is, how do we eliminate racism in 3 key areas? And these key areas are what I truly believe we all need equity and justice in order to live our full realized selves. And so it's gonna be healthcare, education, and community and civic engagement. And so a few examples of how we do that work is healthcare. So healthcare, one of our key initiatives is reducing the impact of racism and bias when it comes to pregnant women and children. Currently in our state, Ohio, Black women and Latino women have experienced infant death and maternal death 2 to 3 times the rate of white women. So how do we impact that data? How do we partner with our healthcare partners in the region to reduce those disparities? Because with all things fixed and equal, whether it's income, whether that's geographic location, that disparity still exists. And so all evidence points to it's racism. And so how do we work and support training, education, access to quality healthcare so that we can eliminate that disparity? And hoping in the future that as more disparities in healthcare show up, we are at the table. The next place is gonna be education. As Sammy illustrated, the state of reality, one of those components was education in our schools. And this is a national issue. This is not something just Hamilton struggles with. All schools struggle with having retention of Black and brown educators, success for minority students, and disparities in discipline. Overall, we see students of color less likely to be in honors classes. We see students of color more likely to have higher rates of suspension and expulsion. And so what can we do to reduce that and really erase that disparity so that all of our students, which we know our data shows, I think we talked about this at the State of the Schools red carpet event, all of our students start at the same level when they come in kindergarten. Yet something happens when it's time to cross that stage that all of those disparities are made more apparent. And so how do we support our educators and our education system, whether that's through policy change, helping recruit and retain teachers of color, because we know that makes a difference, and truly walk alongside of our districts to create this awesome and inclusive environment, because I truly believe that we have great educators here, and how do we bring them even more great educators into the region? And then last, community and civic engagement. And so one of those components is this, engaging with you all and supporting you all in this work. And so I'm gonna do a not so shameless plug. One of the benefits of having an awesome funding stream and the experience I have in this work is that we can do this with you. So the invitation is, for every partner in this room, we can offer free to extremely affordable DEI and JEDI work and training and development with your organization. So do not hesitate to reach out to me. There's a flyer on your table that has my contact information on it, and email, and right, and my beautiful face, because Wendy said use my picture. But we want to work alongside of you in this work. I do not want organizations to be scared of the work of JEDI. It is not something to be scared of. It is something to be excited about. There is a lot of ways to do it wrong, but there are a lot of ways to do it right. And it's worth doing it right, even if you make a mistake, because you're going to make a mistake as an organization in this space, and that's okay. It's how do you learn from the mistake, how do you fix it, and how do you become better? based off of that mistake. So reach out. We can work alongside you, whether it's strategic planning, whether it's just consulting about an incident, whether it's you want to do training for your entire staff team or just your leadership. Whatever that looks like for you, we have the capacity to make it unique and custom to where your organization is and where your client base is. So please do not hesitate to reach out there. And then last but not least, I'm going to plug Monday, our Stand Against Racism Challenge starts. And so Stand Against Racism, there's a QR code, which I hope you all are familiar with. The last 2 years, this is probably how you had to order food. And look at a menu, it's the same thing. Just hold your camera over it, your phone camera, it'll take you to the link. And if you register, what the Stand Against Racism Challenge is an opportunity virtually to engage with conversations about racial justice. And so what it does is for 4 weeks, every week you will get an email with a list of topic areas. So podcasts, videos to watch, articles, and what it really gives you an opportunity to do is reflect on the impact of racism in our community and learn more about how you can get involved and engaged. And so one unique thing we're doing here locally with within the city of Hamilton and Butler County is every Thursday we'll be having a virtual community conversation. So register and then come hang out with us every Thursday and talk about it. What did you learn? How does it apply to us locally? And what can we do about it? That is really my goal here. If I can say I did a good job in this position, it would be that every single one of you in this room, every single one of you on TV Hamilton right now, and every single person in Hamilton and Butler County realizes that they have a role in racial justice. Because at the end of the day, we're all impacted by the trauma of racism, and we all have a duty to also eliminate it. And so that would be my send-off and my activation for you all is to feel empowered that you can make a difference. And help, I can come help. I'm here to help. So please reach out. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Charla, for always showing up authentically as you. Next, we have Pastor Shaq. Ms. Shaquila Matthews, if you would give us some information about HYPE and the work that you're doing in our community.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and to be able to share. Again, super dynamic panel of people. If we was able to, we go home now, we've learned a lot and we've been empowered, but we're not, so we have, no. So listen, but it's been a blessing to be able to work in this community, and I've been home 7 years, born and raised in Hamilton, and HYPE started literally out of response to things that were going on in our community, and in response to the violence that was going on, the gun violence specifically. So it was giving our teens the opportunity to be able to be, not only be employed, but also have a job and mentorship in the city of Hamilton. So there started the Pastor Shaq Job and Mentoring Program, which started out as a 25 youth summer program for 8 weeks, 1 day a week, employing these kids to be able to, one, work, put some money in their pocket, and them to be able to connect with their community through picking up trash. That's as simple as it started, but knowing that in my heart that we needed something because our young people, our teens specifically, they were aging out of other programs and they needed somewhere to be, providing a safe space for them to be, mentors around them, to be able to help them navigate through this world. And at that time, we were dealing with a lot with police brutality as far as with different Trayvon Martin and so forth and so on. So through that HYPE, we were able to provide this space for our young people to be able to talk, to be able to share, and through many partnerships, but specifically at the time with the police department, Chief Buchheit was so great to send in officers to be able to come and share with our young people, to be able to talk, to be able to be friends with them, and not be the first people that show up when something bad happens, but be a face for them to know that you care about me and the community that I live in, and specifically the Riverview Jefferson neighborhood, second 4-4, however you know it, that it was important that we changed that dynamic for our kids. Now, wearing multiple hats, being able to be a faith leader as well as sit on the school board, Hamilton City School Board, and be a represent at Butler Tech as well. I do get to sit and hear conversations as it relates to education, and it is very important that our kids have those representation of Black and brown teachers in the school system. So that is very important, and that is something that I advocate. So I consider myself very much so an advocate for our teens to make sure that they are empowered. HYPE stands for Hamilton Young People Empowered, and we emphasize and we focus on that empowerment piece, because we know throughout history a lot of the change that we see in our world comes through the voice and the strength of young people, and it's no different. We've seen that when the George Floyd case happened. When that situation happened, we've noticed a dynamic uptick of our young people really taking the helm of that and really advocating for the injustice of what happened with that. And so at HYPE, it's no different. We want to empower our young people to use their voice, their gift, and their talent to stand up and advocate for their community, their education, and their family, and that it should not be that they graduate from our school system and they're on the first thing smoking out of here. But like someone said, we want to retain that amazing talent to be here in our city, that they recognize that this is a city that they can live in, work, play, and raise their families and have jobs that they can successfully take care of their families, and that they don't have to resort to violence. So if HYPE can be a piece of that to provide that safe space through our HYPE Kickback program, which is our after-school program, and so my invite would be to allow those that are business owners, those that are leaders in the community to, stop by, be a mentor, have a conversation with these kids, let them know that it is possible for them to be a business owner. It is possible for them to sit on this panel one day and to offer their experience. So that's what HYPE, that's what I wake up and I go to sleep with every day. How do we empower these young people, this 13 to 17, these awkward, interesting middle schoolers that how do we motivate them to want to continue this charge, to continue this, to use their voice, their talents, their gifts. So though people, parents say, people say, oh, they're just picking up trash, but you got some kids that I know that come from the Second Ward that has never been over into the Highland community. We got some kids that's been in the Highland community that's never been in the Second Ward, let alone walk on Front Street. Okay. So my charge would be to mixing those dynamics and bringing those kids together, and so that if they learn that at that level, then as they begin to travel and go on throughout their life, they'll understand there's nothing wrong with the Second Ward. There's nothing that makes me any better than any kid that lives over in this community. But understanding the fact that if we all come together, we can make this community, this world, a better place. And I know that sounds very, but it's. But it's real deal and about focusing on that empowerment piece, and that is through education, and that is through justice, that is through them using their voice. So I am blessed to be able to, again, have those few roles, to be able to sit in education, to be able to be a faith leader, and also to be able to have a youth organization to be able to empower young people. So, I just give you guys a charge to just connect, be a mentor, allow your resources to be able to help these young people identify and help somebody catch on fire and be a spark for them young people. So thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Shack. I think we all can live in the ha ha ha, I think anybody's going to turn that down. Next, we have Mr. Taylor Stonewelch, and he is going to discuss his mission with Hamilton, Ohio Pride. Taylor?
Thanks, Jane. Our group formed back in 2019 with the goal to create a Pride event. And on the table, you'll see a flyer from last year. There's a lot of photos of our event. So in addition to doing a Pride event at Markham Park, we do a lot of activism and advocacy in Hamilton. Sorry, super anxious. All right. I wrote this down for a reason. I will blame Pastor Shack for her impassioned leading into me going. It's very intimidating. So I'm going to speak personally. That's a lot easier. So Pride is important to me because as a young person growing up in town, I thought that I couldn't live in Hamilton. I didn't see people like me who were living their authentic selves in this community. And by creating an event like Pride and by doing activism and advocacy in this town, I believe that we're going to help young people who are a little different, maybe feel like they don't fit in, start to see themselves in this community. A lot of my friends moved out of Hamilton. I thought I would do the same when I went to college. That was going to be my stepping stone to going to a big city where I thought that's where a gay person needed to go. Life circumstances got me back here, and that was a really good thing for me because it let me fall in love with this town. I met my husband here. We now have a nice house that we're very proud of. And we plan on spending our whole lives here. And I think that that's part of D&I initiatives, both when it comes to race, but also when it comes to gender identity and sexual orientation, can help us retain a lot of that young talent and that different perspective that we all need here. It also helps us to attract young talent for an employee base, because there's a lot of people who, the younger generations value diversity to a high degree. I believe that a lot of young people don't want to work for a company that they don't believe walks the walk and stands behind their diversity initiatives, which goes beyond like a couple posts twice a year. So I believe that that's part of the mission of Pride, is to like help us build a community that can attract new talent, retain our younger generations and keep them here, and then also just attracting visitors who start to feel more comfortable. And then if anybody's interested in reaching out, getting more information or talking to me, we do have business cards on the table with our social media handles and email address as well.
Thank you, Taylor. I know you have moments of anxiousness, but realize that we all stand with you. Okay. And last but not least, we have Mr. Boyce Swift, who's going to give us an education on what fellowship is. Boyce?
Absolutely, absolutely. Good afternoon. My name is Boyce Swift. I'm the Director of Human Resources and Talent Management for the Great Miami Valley YMCA. Woo woo. And in my spare time, what little I have, I also serve in an operations role for the Fellowship Mentoring Program. As I'm hearing all of the other folks on the panel here, I've heard George Floyd and the murder of George Floyd come up a few times. And coincidentally, that is how the spark of the Fellowship Mentoring Program started. So when I think back on to how I was feeling personally, Sammy spoke to, our response at the YMCA. I felt very, very similarly in my personal life. It's like, I don't want to be a guy who's just posting something on social media and then, it leaves there. So I do, reflecting back on that moment, I do feel grateful that, we can even see here on this panel that the response to the murder of George Floyd, there were so many great initiatives that started there. And so fellowship is one of those things. Thinking back on that time, I know I felt in a very low space at that time. I felt very deeply about the murder of George Floyd because at that same time, I was expecting a son. So it was May of 2020. My son was born in June 4th of 2020. So I just remember feeling, like, man, I'm going to have the conversation with him about, being a black man in America and what things go along with that. And so I partnered with one of my fraternity brothers. We're like, so what can we do to allow this moment to not just be this moment, but it can be like a larger impact? And so we decided, we're both in a fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, and we've experienced ourselves just through the mentorship that we experienced just from seeing men of color who are CEOs and lawyers, doctors, accomplished businessmen. Seeing is believing. And so we were able to see them in those spaces that gave us the vision to say, okay, we can do that as well. So we're like, God has blessed us with the ability to go to college and get experience, get our degrees. So we want to pay it forward. So the Fellowship Mentoring Program, our mission is really to help young men develop and grow through professional mentoring experience. But the thing that I think that makes our mentor program unique is just we do it in a focus of trying to create a safe space for men of color to share their life experiences. One example of that is we had a black female educational administrator in Baltimore, Maryland. So when we started the organization, we started in the fall of 2020. So we were doing everything virtually. So we really don't have a geographic presence in a certain space yet. So we had a black educational administrator in Baltimore. She came and she did a webinar with our team. She was basically discussing, as a black woman, in the education system, how she had to do things like code switch. So she, in a board meeting with school board members, she has to, speak in a certain way so that she could be received, so she could be heard. But that same way doesn't trickle into her day-to-day lives where she, was dealing with a complicated urban school in Baltimore and the issues that were impacting the kids there. She couldn't use that same persona or language in her school and be impactful. So a lot of the folks that we serve see that same thing. A lot of what we heard was, if I grow up, I go to college, get an education, when I go home, people are gonna see me as a sellout, or they're gonna see me as, oh, I think I'm better than other people. So we talk about these issues, code switching and how to navigate, different areas. I mean, the lady, she even mentioned it almost being like being bilingual, having to go in a certain space and operate in a certain way to be effective, and then in another space. So our organization really stands to do two things. One, it's create a community for men of color, really to talk about personal life experiences and really to address mental health. One stat I found said that 16% of Black Americans reported having a mental health issue in 2018. And of that 16%, 22% of those reported having serious mental health issues. And that's just reported. I mean, I do feel in the Black community, even amongst Black men, I'm sure it's way underreported, just with the stigmas that are associated with mental health and how people may perceive you. So really what we want to do is create a space where we can have those discussions. And as men, I don't know if we have those discussions. You can be like, I'm not trying to be touchy-feely, like my feelings, what are those? Like, I don't have feelings, I'm strong, right? So, trying to really create a safe space where we can have those discussions, but also partner young men with mentors who can help them with life situations. It's like, I made a mistake, you don't have to make the same mistake as me. So that's really our mission. Like I said, we started virtually, and so right now we're building core teams, one in Greater Cincinnati and then another in Columbus. So my ask is, if you're interested in the program, please see, we have a flyer here on the table, or you can see me for questions, but we would love if some folks are interested in serving, giving their time and talent so that we can help young men grow and develop. So thank you.
Thank you so much to all of our panelists. We appreciate you. We have a few moments left, so I'd love to see if the audience has questions or interesting points that they can bring to our panelists to ask them. This is our opportunity to learn and grow together, so let's not waste it. So who has a question? Well, I'll go ahead and start, and then I'll just start picking out of the audience. So, Sammy, can you tell us a little bit about Melanated Matters?
Yes. So, Melanated Matters. Sorry. There we go. Sorry. So, Melanated Matters is a chapter that formed from the State of Reality series that was birthed at Hamilton High School. So students were inspired by what they seen happen at State of Reality series, and they decided to start their own student organization supported by faculty and an advisor that still happens today, where high school students are now meeting, talking about issues that actually Black students face and other minority students as well as Latino, and they welcome allies to come in, so white students are available to join that group as well, to talk about issues the students are facing in day-to-day life. Simple things as some people might not think about, but it's like taboo to touch a young Black girl's hair. And some people might not know that. So there's some things that they're educating, even me as a daughter, have 4 daughters, learning more about Black women day to day. But they are leading a charge and actually starting other chapters. So they're trying to create a safe space for students to be able to have an opportunity to talk about harsh issues they're facing in their high school experiences. And I'm excited to see that they're talking about growing into other districts like Fairfield and Middletown and even Baden High School. So it's nice to see that all started and was birthed from the State of Reality series.
Thank you, Sammy. Lisa, could you give us some information as to what the young people that you're working with need from us as a community? How can we help?
Well, there's a lot of ways that the community can help. I think we are partnering very closely with our school districts, focusing on transition age youth, 14 and up. There are a lot of federal regulations in place where we must work hard to give students an opportunity to try different vocational programming and work opportunities so that they are not leaving high school and going in kind of an aimless direction. Our state is an employment-first state, so that means another executive order for people with developmental disabilities to have an opportunity to work in the community. So always looking for employers that are open to giving folks a chance. Reach out if you have questions.
Would you happen to have individuals that help them assimilate into that space?
Absolutely, we do. We have job coaches, we have employment navigators that work for us, and we pair them with job coaches who actually help the person acclimate to the job and have that work experience be successful. It's also a very great opportunity for the employer as well, so that they are fully supporting the person. We have a lot of statistics on how great this is for employers as well.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. Melanie, could you define what a small business is? Is it one person? Is it up to 50? And, you know, what kind of parameters do the people need to be in to contact you for help?
That's a great question. Everybody hear me? Great question. I actually get to define what that is at our agency. So for me, I typically look at any employer who has generally 50 or fewer employees, and I would say that is the majority of the employers in the state of Ohio. I had a couple of small and minority business webinars last month, and we ran a report, and the majority, I would say 70% of the employers who have a workers' compensation policy fall under that 50 or fewer employees. So I would say most of you are probably in this room right now qualify as a small business, but you could have whatever. I'm going to get you to the right place and make sure that we assist you in the best way possible.
That's fantastic. Can we also find out about grant information from you?
You sure can. Grants, programs, anything BWC related, I sort of am the one-stop shop I'm supposed to be. After 30 years of experience, I should know everything there is to know, so feel free to contact me. I can get you in contact with whoever you need, and generally I can't answer your questions all on my own.
Fantastic. And just FYI, if you have the Champions of Diversity flyer on your table, that has all of the contact information for individuals about the program. Charla, could you give us one of the organizations or one of the committees that you are working with now?
Oh, okay, that's a lot. That means I'm busy. Okay, who do I shout out here? Ooh, okay, so, I'll shout out the quote. I know exactly where that question's leading. So in our civic engagement kind of umbrella, one of our goals, we have launched the Greater Hamilton Coalition Against Hate. And so I think, as Boyce mentioned, there's a lot of things that got started, initiatives that got a spark after the murder of George Floyd. And so in 2020, the YWCA and several other partners in the community came together and said, we need an entity and a body that's willing to speak out against incidents like this, especially ones that happen close to home and in our city. That was also motivated by the reality that in 2020, the Pride celebration was going to happen, and they received a lot of threats of violence. And so how do we support them, support other partners in the community, and those in our community that are impacted by hate and instances of hate? And so this body is made up of several dynamic individuals across the community and across different sectors who come together to, one, first and foremost, educate the community about hate and how it manifests in our community, to refer, so survivors of incidents of hate and those impacted by hate, how do we support and refer them to get the proper, whether that's legal or just supportive measures that they need after surviving an instance of hate? And then how do we really advocate for systems change around hate and how it manifests in our policies, our practices, and in our community? And so really that goal is to bring us together and collaboratively work around reducing hate and really striving for peace and equity in the community.
Thank you, Charla. At this time, I'd like to bring back to your attention Mr. Dan Bates as we close out our program. Thank you, panelists, and thank you, everyone, for your attendance.
Thank you all. We're bringing the meeting to a close. I am awed by the panel. Thank you once again. We're going to ask the panelists to hang on for a few minutes, so if any of you have specific questions, just come up to the front and address them specifically. So, Wally, it's now in your hands.
Two quick thank yous. First to the panel. Our society is not perfect. It's not close to being perfect, but with your knowledge, leadership, insight, things will improve, and I know that, so thank you once more. And then second to all of you, not just for attending today, not just for buying a ticket, but for being present, for soaking in the knowledge, soaking in any way that you can help, your organization can help this panel and their organizations. So thank you. And two upcoming chamber events. April 28th, Mix It Up, and that is hosted by United Heartland Insurance. And May 19th, Play Ball Gala at Spooky Nook. Nancy, 150 tickets left, so that means, what, 120 now are left? That quick? Okay. So, so please, if you're interested, please make a reservation ASAP. Thank you, and the meeting is adjourned.